I cheered, but it's weird getting used to Chomsky's beard.
Well, hello, boys and girls.
Hi.
What a wonderful day it is today in our money-based economy.
Wrap this.
Well, sit back and relax and get ready for the guy who's about to ruin everything.
I'm puzzled. Are you really seriously suggesting that Jesus Christ was a mushroom?
Wait, Jesus was a mushroom, Roberts.
Hi.
You are dealing with a secret cult.
And a douche.
A secret society.
Welcome to Waning Interest.
Welcome to the Waning Interest Podcast. Hour number 61. Well, sort of. It's gonna be a 30. Because I'm doing something different. I'm changing things up. I'm doing some juggling. Which is weird because this is a podcast, audio only, so I'm trying to figure out how to work that, you know. Thanks. So yeah, the Wednesdays are, this is the first Wednesday, Unlocked Wednesday, that's gonna be 30 minutes from now on. Like I said, we're juggling. That's the juggle. So at first you were like, wait a minute, what the fuck, man? I gotta imagine, I gotta do this theater of the mind and pretend that I'm seeing you juggle when actually you just mean that, Unlocked Wednesday is going to be a 30-minute instead of a 60-minute from now on. Bazinga. Thank you, Sheldon. You know why? Because money be causing all the ding-dang problems and then getting in the way of solving them. Tangent? A little bit. Just popped in my head and I had to go, here you go. If you're new to the podcast, like I said, it's Unlocked Wednesday. The smallest click on the internet. The pinball brain in your favorite pinball machine. I see spiders. How about those Red Sox? I want to go to fucking Hawaii. It's Wednesday Jokes Day and Radio Story Day. That was Joe Cruz you heard on the open and you hear on the promos, the front and the back of the promos, cruzvo.com. His link should be right there in the description. Email waninginterestpodcast@gmail.com. You are probably here from, if you're new, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn, Google Play, Lavable, and or Spotify, or a sub, or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe you're a whip. Maybe you're part of the Waning Interest Podcast Pack, and you're listening right on the Patreon page, because that's where you always go, because that's where everything is. Because it's part of the pack. For only $2 a month, as little as $2 a month, you get everything. Monday and Friday hour. Actual hours. Those are going to stay hours. I'm not wussing out on Mondays and Fridays. I'm making it more of a party. So for $2 or $5 or $10 or whatever, but as little as $2 a month, $24 a year.
What?
You could have 2.5 hours, because there's going to be bonus half hours as well. So 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 hours every week. And it's going to be fun, because it's going to be some of the most entertaining shit you ever heard. Because it's just me. It's not a bunch of people talking over each other. It's just this jackass being himself. Less is more, right? Right.
What?
And I listen to so many podcasts that I only listen to one podcast that's like mine, which is Bill Burr. And I'm not saying at all that I am like Bill Burr or as good or as funny or anything like that. I'm just me. But I had another podcast.
Need the bullet.
Thank you for saying it. That's what it was, Nate the Bullet. And what would I do? 17 or 18 episodes, and half of them were interview or with a buddy. As I interviewed a couple of integration coaches for psychedelics and one of the therapists for MAPS for the MDMA for PTSD trials, Dr. Cole Marta. That's out there on YouTube if you want to find it. But what was the point, Anus?
What?
I don't know. My old podcast, so yeah, half of them were just me babbling. Very creative, by the way. And the other half were either me talking to a friend of mine or doing one of the interviews that I mentioned before. Because the psychedelic thing is very important, and I think that's part of the reason why. Like, if you ever see, remember the show The Green Room? Did you ever see that? Paul Provenza, I believe it was Showtime. A bunch of comics sitting around, kind of like an early version of a podcast, but on TV. And one of my favorite ones was the Doug Stanhope one and the Gary Shandling one. Why do I bring that up? Because Gary talks about the ego. And ego is a big problem. And I agree with that. And to me, the problem is because two reasons. Many reasons, but the two big reasons is capitalism enforces ego.
What?
And we've been taken away from our original true religion, which is natural psychedelics, which stamp the ego down with a rebirth. I mean, you trip real good and you know stuff about one or two religions, and you're going to go, oh, they're all about psychedelics. Oh, all those gods are personifications of natural psychedelics. It's anthropomorphization. You know that word. Anyway, that's what I'm about. If you're new, if you're not a whip already, you're new. This is the first time you're hearing this shit. That's one of my things. That's why in the open you heard that Jesus was a mushroom stuff. If you were like, if you hadn't heard that before and you go, what the fuck is this? What? I know I hear it a lot that I've never heard that before. I heard it for the first time in 2005, and sorry, Ma, haven't looked back. Anyway, did I tell you it's $2 a month on Patreon to get the Monday and Friday hour as well? Did I tell you about that? By the way, Mondays, bowling stories, acting stories, and maybe that's because, like I said, if you're new, that's what I'm about. That's where I come from. Maybe I've done a little bit of acting. See? Pretty good, huh? Maybe I done a little bowling. Thanks to my papa, my pappy. Fridays, voiceover stories, album of the week, and the Friday psychedelic movie / series. It's a lot of fun. I meant to note what was last week's, so I don't have to look it up because that would waste a whole bunch of time. But if I didn't have it down as a note and I was trying to remember, it would make it more creative, sort of, and more fun to listen to, with me trying to drag it out and try to remember what it was by myself, and that didn't work. Shh. One of these days, that shit's gonna work. I'm gonna finally go, see? Twitter, Instagram, hashtag the whips. Waning Interest Podcast Pack. Waning Interest Podcast. Use them. It's fun. So I did a little experiment, and because a lot of people do it. I never do this, but I see it on Twitter a lot. I see it on Facebook a lot. People that have podcasts. I'm about to record in this, that, or the other. Questions for this person, or questions about this subject. Blah, blah, blah. And I've never done it, and I felt like connecting. And so I posted, I'm recording in a little bit. What's everyone's favorite color? I actually got answers. I didn't want answers, for Christ's sakes. It was one of that's a post where you're actually, you don't want likes, or you only want likes, but you don't want actual answers. Immediately I get a purple. Come on. I got a green. I got a yellow. I got a pink. I got Violent Femmes, Color Me Once. I meant to listen to that. Don't want to. I gotta say this. I got a Doo-Doo Brown. Kind of funny. I got a pussy. Your favorite color is pussy. I got to give a thumbs up to that one. And I got to give a double thumbs up to clear. That's clever. Clear. Thanks, Joseph. But the winner is from my birthday sister. Trick question. I'm on to you. But she likes purple. See, she got it, but she still answered. She's, Leo. But I just wanted ha-has. The intent, the only thing I wanted back was ha-has. People understanding that, what's your favorite color? What the fuck? How I get it. You're making fun of people trying to get material because they can't do their own podcasts by themselves, like you and Bill. Like I said, I'm not Bill. But I am a talk radio veteran from a lot of things, and I might not be as clear and smooth and as bang, bang, bang. But I'm entertaining, motherfucker, and I can hit a post. Not everybody, but a bunch of people are crying about Chappelle's new special, Sticks and Stones. Oh, the promo is just fucking priceless, and shows you exactly why the things that reason why I have most of my toes not in stand-up, or out, just like everything else. Like I got one foot in, one foot out, voiceover, acting, stand-up. I'm like, because of all the shit that you get so sick of. Every one of them, when I've gotten in, veterans are like, don't do this. And then you get to a point where I see why. But the promo of Dave Chappelle's thing, duh. Who's this impression of? Duh. You get this and you do that, and I can't wait till you fuck up, and then I'm gonna jump your shit when I find something you did 12 years ago. Who's the impression of that? Who's that an impression of? People yell Trump, and he's like, you motherfuckers. That's what you should get scared of. But I haven't seen it yet. I want to. I'm going to. We're coming up real quick. We got something that I'm going to have to jump to because I'm doing this with a different time. I'm doing this in a different way. And this is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Wednesday joke on the Waning Interest Podcast. The Wednesday joke on the Waning Interest Podcast.
What?
I should be standing here wearing a shirt that has the excellent Foo Fighters logo on the front. The FF. But with the words fantastical fuck up on the back. That should be my uniform. This fantastical fuck up. Finally faced the problem and realized I have this freak compulsion to say I'm sorry. I'm in AA, BNRS. Apologizers Anonymous, but not really. Sorry. Number 2. Guys, you ever tell your therapist about wearing women's clothes? Just to see the look on their face? Me either. Can't tell the truth in there. They'd have me committed. Number 3. I love GMO foods. They're the reason I now have balls big enough to crawl up on this stage. And that was the Wednesday Whoa, I almost fucked that up. And that I did fuck that up. And that was the Wednesday jokes. Had to slow it down so I wouldn't fuck that up. If you're new to the podcast, the Wednesday jokes are little things, old things that I wrote, early stuff. It's all stuff within the first couple of years of doing stand-up comedy. I've gone back into my old notes to show the trash. Some of it's good, some of it's some of it's in between. Some of it's, morphed into other things. Some of it I hadn't seen it until, or since, looking it up. Sometimes it's something I said once. But yeah, that's something I do every Wednesday here on the Waning Interest Podcast. Used to be just one, but now I'm a giver. So I says, Wanus, give him more. So I gone, and I give more. That's 3. I think for the last 3 Wednesdays or so, I think it's been 2 or 3 at least. And those are actually pretty good. I put more effort into those with retelling than I normally do, and you're welcome. Coming up shortly, we got the Wednesday radio story. Maybe 2. Depends on how badly I drag out the first one. But they're old radio stories. Some of them, no, they can't be new because I haven't been in radio since, I left KCRW in 2012. So, well, either way, let's just get to it, why don't we? It's time for the Wednesday radio story. The Wednesday radio story. Oh, yeah.
What?
This is, well, you just heard it. The Wednesday radio story. Maybe it's. If you're new to the podcast, one of my first radio job was at WIOD in Miami. If you've, most likely you've heard of Phil Hendry. Most people have. This was the station that Phil was at before he went boom in Miami. Well, he went boom out here in Los Angeles, but when he went to Premier Radio Networks, where I worked with him again. But where he really first took off was in Miami at WIOD, 610 WIOD. News, entertainment, talk. Well, we had a few different things, but anyway. Really good talk radio. We were like a rock station. But talk, news, and sports. We were the Dolphins flagship for many years, up until 97. Anyway. The king of radio for almost 30 years was Neil Rogers. And there were a lot of bits, and I played them before on one Wednesday hour in the past. Can't remember which, but I played a whole chunk of things that I showed what I would do in the overnight when my first job, which was an overnight gig where mostly tape until 5 a.m. and then news stuff, and then it was like, whoa, live and really running a board. But mostly through the night, you were running tape, and there weren't a whole lot of commercials. They couldn't sell very well during the overnights. And a lot of times, Neil Rogers, the king of radio in Miami for so many years, best ofs. And I was told that I could play a bunch of the stuff that was in the computers, like little drops and parody songs. And there was this one guy that did many parody songs that Neil played. And he was just called Guitar Man. So much good shit. Rick Riley stole my briefcase. I'd like to fart in his face. Sorry, that's like the first thing that popped into my head. But Guitar Man was great. He had a lot of great shit, and I think his actual job was a lounge lizard. But anyway, many of his parody songs were done over the phone, where he'd just call up and tell George Rodriguez, Neil's producer, George, it's Guitar Man. I got a song for Neil. He'd put it up on the computer to tell Neil that whatever line he was on, usually the bat line, and he'd do it over the phone. He'd do a song, which is weird because normally they were produced for other shows with parody songs. They were different. And it was just better because he was a badass. Anyway, I was told that on those overnights, in between segments, because there were no commercials, I could run a lot of bits and stuff, but it was a setup to make some people mad and get myself in trouble, and whatever, it worked. But the fans of the station loved it. And one night, I played a whole bunch of Guitar Man parody songs in a row. Then the inside line lights up, the red phone, the fucking bat phone. I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck is this? Like 4 a.m. And he proceeds to tell me who he is. Glenn something, I can't remember his last name. Very serious. Yeah, I'm listening, and wow, you're playing a lot of bits. Were you authorized to do that? And I'm going, Yeah, why? Did I do something wrong? And he strung me along for a good 5 minutes. About, well, obviously they didn't tell you that every time one of my songs is run, that, I get paid this amount of money. That this is going to cost a lot. I'm telling you, this is my 3rd month, maybe. Might have been my 1st or 2nd month on the job. Within the first few months, I'm shitting my pants. And then luckily at a certain point, he just starts cracking up and goes, dude, don't worry about it. Everything's cool. I'm just fucking with you. I could tell that there was a new board up, and I thought I'd have a little fun. And I went, you son of a bitch.
What?
That's an actual real drop not that one, but there was an actual drop of Charlton Heston that we had that we used to use, that he was saying that, you son of a bitch. So that's what that was for. And the people that know the podcast and know WIOD understood that, but the people that didn't. And that's why I explained it for no reason, and hopefully it was still entertaining. And because I finished that one so quickly, I could add a whole bunch of stuff, but, less is more. I instead came prepared with another quick story, which is just as fun, if not more fun. It's definitely sexier. The control room in the studio for WIOD was right next to another station, The Coast. Easy listening station. Like I said, I worked overnights for a couple of years. Well, the Coast had many DJs. And some of them were female. And some of them were single and attractive. And one of them would go on the air sometimes with, and I'm serious, she would turn on the microphone and she would be talking to all of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, while I was giving her oral magic.
What?
That's a real board op, orator. I don't just know what I'm doing on top of the board. I was told, with a very serious and a stern licking, that I knew what I was doing under the board. Because I took my time. I paid attention to all angles, usually. The taking the time part was apparently the best part. So I'm just telling you what I was told. And no, I'm not telling you any names. Protecting the guilty, because the guilty are usually cool. So, sometimes when a certain DJ was on the air on the coast, I was in the heartland. In a canoe. Oh, no, I'm sorry, in a boat. Damn it, I was trying to do the little man in the boat thing, with Coast AFM and that, you get it, right? I was right. Anyway, watch Redacted tonight. Jimmy Dore Show, Kim Iverson, Kyle Kalinske, Abby Martin. Look for yourself. I'm just here to be a fun, babbling lecturer. Remember, we're all Neo, aka One. Sorry, ran long. Had to bump comedian Dave Chappelle. Thanks, Gary. You know what? Daddy loves you. messing with my peebles.